Hey, sports fans. Greg Medford here. Welcome to the Greg Medford Show. Phoenix, Arizona. Just getting ready to... I'm leaving town tomorrow, going on Christmas break. It's the first time we've shut down for an extended period around Christmas ever. 12 years in. I'm taking my son. We're going to go... He's going to learn how to sail. We're going to spearfish. Kill some bonefish. Probably deal with some equatorial rain. Should be a good time. In the meantime, our ongoing series on America and our discussion we've had for the last couple of years, we've brought a bunch of guests on from the political sphere here in Arizona this past year. We've started to bring on some guests from other areas, and we got a great get, Bob. We got a cool get. He's our guest today. Is kind of has turned into a little bit of a folk hero. And I'm sure trying to come to terms with all of that. It's a lot to take in as a young person. It's a lot to take in as any person. You guys all know him. He was involved in an incident up in, it was Kenosha, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a little tiny bit about the incident because most everybody's heard about it. He's been over that a million times, and there's nothing like new and interesting and exciting about that. He's also got stuff going on still. He's being attacked by various groups, so there's going to be some areas we cordon off and don't talk about just because he's still got ongoing kind of legal matters he's got to wrestle with, so we'll hit some breaks. I don't know exactly where all those corners are. When we get to him, he'll kind of poke me a little bit. I think it was, if you run in my circles, the tactical world, knives, firearms, former military, we run into a lot of chest-thumping patriot types. I run into lots of guys. I can always tell really, really intense veterans. Really, really intense veterans were usually in some sort of supportive role. They weren't really tip of the spear guys. I can usually tell tip of the spear guys because they're pretty laid back and they're really not craving for war because they've kind of been in the fray of it and they're like, yeah, that's no bueno. So we got a whole country. In 1776. When the Declaration of Independence was posted, signed, the vast majority of citizens of the new America, they wanted to be British. That's what that whole 3% thing is. 97% of people want to be British. 3% of people participated in the Revolutionary War. 3%. It's a very small number. I hear guys talk about this all the time, Second Amendment guys, and they're always like, man, the government comes around guns in my door, they're going to have a fight on their hands. No, they're not. Everybody I know is going to just give up their guns. When law enforcement shows up, and you got your daughter in the bedroom, and your son's in front of the video game, and your wife's cooking dinner, and the law enforcement agencies of whatever scumbaggery show up to take your shit, almost nobody's going to get into a gunfight. Almost everybody is going to go, oh, this is awful, and they're going to comply. So everybody talks a big game, but then every now and then you run into somebody who kind of did the road less traveled and did something unexpected. So our guest today is Kyle Rittenhouse. You guys had a chance to see the trial and see everything and hear all of the crazy quotes and the banana shit that got said. And to a man, everybody I had the conversation about, we all said, man, that kid conducted himself well. So, welcome to the show, Kyle. Nice to have you here. I talk about you in kid as past tense because blamming a couple people it mans you up a decade at least. So, thanks for being here. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg. And what you were saying in the beginning with the government coming after our guns and like they're going to be knocking at people's doors with law enforcement, you're absolutely right. People are just going to cower and give them over. But what we need to do is we need to not even get to that point. We need to go out there and vote for pro 2A candidates, people who are not going to allow that to happen, people that are going to support 18 to 20-year-old constitutional carry, people that are going to pass new gun laws and stop fighting for these high capacity magazine bans and just let us use our Second Amendment and abide by the Constitution of the United States that our founding fathers gave us.
It's nice to hear everybody's always got grandiose plans, and you're basically saying go vote and vote the right way.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing about our republic. Elections are a pressure relief valve. They're a way to throw the bums out without hanging them. They're a way to throw the bums out without burning down the Capitol. And we all have to, if everybody who is so busy thumping their chest brought 10 of their friends to go vote, our country wouldn't be slipping from our grasp right now.
Absolutely. People don't go out there, they don't go vote, and then you look at the situation here in Arizona. I was watching videos, they were telling people, oh, the voting machines are down. You have to go wait in this line, and then people didn't want to wait 4 hours. That really affects you. That 4 hours can determine our future.
When I hear about what happened in the election here, and I saw, a bunch of us went to vote live. And because we didn't want our mail-in ballots being provisional or having other people decide how accurate they were, we went and voted live. And the first place we went to, the lady basically came out and said, hey, the machines are not printing properly. Something's wrong. We talked to people in front and they said, we've been here 2 hours and it hasn't moved.
Yeah, because Carrie Lake was winning and they wanted her to lose. And, they can't have honest elections. I just want to give a real quick congratulations to Carrie Lake for going to trial on her lawsuit. It's going to expose a lot of facts. I'm excited to see what we're about to see.
I'm curious to see if anything happens because I have so little. I'm older than you, and I have so little faith in the criminal justice system.
Me and you both.
Yeah, and you've been through the ringer, and here's what's miraculous about it for everybody watching. It worked out the right way. It almost never works out the right way. That's why all of us adults were sitting there kind of going, Jesus, what's going to happen? Because it almost never works out the right way.
You look at all these other examples of these malicious prosecutions, these innocent people going to trials and getting found guilty because the jury's afraid to make the right decision.
They're worried about the town burning.
Yep. I got lucky. I had an amazing jury. I had a jury who did not have any fear, who did the right thing, who looked at the facts, who looked at the evidence, and put their personal feelings aside, and they came to the right conclusion and found me not guilty.
Yeah. Everybody always says, hey, what's the I'm kind of I'm a critic as I sit back and watch what's going on in the country, watch what's going on in the world. And
we all are.
Yeah. And like many parents, my parents were like, hey, less bitching and more solutions. What's your solution? And I look at what's going on and I see a complete lack of accountability and I see cowardice everywhere we turn. So the thing that, you talk about, your jury was fearless and they were brave, right? Because they could do what can happen in a town afterwards if people put that into their calculation can cause injustice everywhere.
Absolutely. I've heard from people in my jury, they prayed every single day. They said, let us reach the right verdict based on the facts and the evidence alone. And God gave them that strength, and God gave them that power to do that. I mean, look after my acquittal. There were protests all around the world after I got acquitted. New York was on fire, Portland. There was a bunch of cities that had nothing to do with Kenosha. Just people wanted to get out there and riot.
Yeah, there's a lot of people just... The
opportunists.
Yeah, they take advantage. They hijack every little thing that goes on to try and it's a lot of self-aggrandizing. It's almost like going to a concert. You want to go to an outdoor concert with your friends. This is almost a social thing for them to go just do this disrupting.
And people like to follow the clique. I'm going to go back to the voting for a second. People will vote Democrat because their mom or dad or their best friend is voting Democrat, not because they did any research,
right?
But they're too cowardly to check that Republican box because they're scared that they're not going to fit in with their friends. They're scared they're going to be an outcaster, especially with kids my age. They don't want to do the right thing. They want to sit at home, smoke marijuana, have sex, and pretty much don't do anything for society besides vote in terrible politicians.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of voting for handouts and stuff. So what are you doing now? We all heard initially you were going to ASU or something. Whatever ended up panning out. What are you up to now?
Well, I'm on a gap semester right now. I made the mistake of I ended up ASU withdrew me from classes, so I'm not going there anymore.
Why'd they withdraw you?
They forced a compassionate withdrawal on me after I announced I was going there during my trial. They're like, no, he isn't. We're gonna give him a compassionate withdrawal. And I was like,
so
no.
they woke withdrew you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they protested me there also.
Yeah. And so now what? Are you going to try and, do you like ASU?
It's an okay school, but right now I'm not going to announce where I'm going to go to school because
It's probably a good idea. Yeah.
I announced that and I ended up got fortunate taking a gap semester because people knew where I was going to school and I was getting credible death threats and like it was just crazy.
Has that calmed down?
No, people are crazy. I get hundreds of DMs a week saying, "I'm going to fucking kill you, you murderer, you racist. When I see you, I'm gonna put a piece of lead in your head. I'm gonna stab you."
Are you worried about any of it?
There's some that are pretty worrying, but like God has a plan, and God's plan is the right plan. So whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Have you seen that whole fucking fuck around and find out meme with you?
I have.
How does all that stuff affect you?
The memes are great. There's some funny ones, especially like the lemon head memes. Like, there's funny ones that just make me laugh, but then there's some that are like really dark. It's like I can't really talk too much about them because with the civil lawsuit, they're going to use whatever I say against me.
Yeah, yeah. Have you kind of it's probably been a pretty wild couple of years. I saw you got a girlfriend now?
Yeah. Beautiful girlfriend. She lives in North Carolina. She's not woke like the mob. She's conservative, Christian.
What does she do?
So she worked at Chick-fil-A. She does modeling and pageant stuff.
Yeah, she looks like a friggin' model. She's gorgeous. Good for you.
Yeah, she is.
I said, dude, that's your payoff, man, because you're punching above your weight. We all decided we're like, good for Kyle. Fantastic.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
She's her sister and her are huge with Turning Point USA.
Cool.
They've been going to their events forever. And it's just great. Like,
how'd you meet her?
So her sister works for Turning Point.
Okay. And then you were doing stuff with Turning Point.
That, and then like I found her on social media.
You stalked her?
That's
you four doors and more horse stalked her.
Well, that's a very outlandishly claim here. This is alleging some things here. Yes. So I saw she made conservative like TikToks and conservative Instagram posts. I was like, this girl's really cool. I'm gonna add her. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna take a risk, and just like she can either be really crazy or really sweet. And she turned out to be really sweet, and we really connected.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Is she traveling with you, or is she...
Yeah, she's traveling with me. She's here with me at Turning Point USA for the AmFest conference.
Yep.
Today was the last day, so we're a little exhausted.
I bet.
Conferences take a lot out of you. They're very not time consuming.
Well, it's an energy suck. Right?
It takes a lot of energy out.
Because everybody's pulling at you.
Yeah.
And here you are doing a podcast, so thanks for coming in.
Hey, of course. Thank you for having me. Like, this is a great setup. I'm just looking around. Like, people probably notice on camera, I'm just like, my eyes are wandering. There's so many cool things in here, so many great pieces of history, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm kind of a history buff, and I like, I think everything that goes on in the moment, I try to see it in the context of history and time, to connect everything a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I'm probably going to go to school and get a degree in business. I want to do aviation. I'm probably just going to get my private pilot license. I haven't completely decided yet. I changed it up a lot. I'm 19.
Yeah. Jesus, you're 19.
I'm 19.
Jesus Christ, it's a lot to go through,
I
man.
mean, think about when you were 19, 20 years old. How many times did you change up what you wanted to do?
I was in the Marine Corps.
There you go. Thank you for your service. So I want to do political activism. I want to be an advocate for 2A. I want to be a voice for the people who are not heard. I want to get out there and encourage people to go out there and vote, to not vote for these rhinos, to vote for people who are actually going to make change. They're going to bring laws. They're going to get laws passed, and they're going to do good things.
And a lot of block laws, stop laws. I want my real conservatives just stop the bullshit. The country works just fine if people will go to jail for doing bad things.
Absolutely. People got held accountable for doing bad things, and we would all be fine. It would be a great world. And if they stopped coming for our rights, look at Chicago. They're coming for our guns right now. Look at Chicago. It has the strictest gun laws in the country.
Yeah.
Outside of California, highest gun crime rate,
right.
Highest murder rate. Same with California, LA. Gun control does jack shit.
Absolutely. Do you have anybody at this point who's giving you mentorship and maybe sketching out a career path for you? Because being a 2A, I mean, you're in a unique spot, and I don't want to say this and have this come off the wrong way. I've been friends with some guys who got Congressional Medals of Honor, and it changed their life, and they became that thing that happened to them. And a lot of times it's hard to plug that in to the future. How do you plug that in? What do you do with that? I've had, I know guys who went and just got a job, and then they're the guy at work with a Congressional Medal of Honor.
I can't really go out and get a job right now, but
yeah. So I mean, that's if you're looking at doing 2A advocacy or you got something that every politician in this country would kill their firstborn child for, which is name recognition, like instantly. So I guess, is anybody helping you kind of chart out a path to arrive at the kind of a vision of what you want?
I don't really have anybody at the moment carving out a path. Right now, it's just sort of me, my girlfriend, helping me, and a few friends in my circle. I don't have a manager. I don't really have anybody like doing anything for me.
Listen. Before you leave today, get my number and talk with me.
Okay.
Because I've seen a lot of guys come out of the teams, come out of special forces, come out of these big backgrounds, trying to plug into the civilian world. Interesting transition. I've talked to lots of them. I've had a lot come and work for me here in transition. Not saying that you should do that, but I'm also pretty politically active, and you've got something. If you need, it would not be bad for you to have somebody older who's been around and wants nothing from you.
Yep, that's the goal.
Because the problem is, I started kind of sneaking up on politics, and everybody I thought was pretty evil. I wasn't comfortable with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this is awful. These people are awful. They will do or say anything. They're awful.
Yeah.
And so I said, nope, no interest. So I kind of speak my truth out loud to everybody and do my podcast and make knives and kind of change the world one knife at a time if I can.
Cool stuff.
But if you ever want to talk, you definitely reach out. I'm pretty. Be surprised. You get guys in their 50s who've had a little success. They're good people to talk to and bounce ideas off of, especially if they don't have any self-interest in connected with you. You going to go to school, obviously. You've connected with Charlie Kirk a little bit, I imagine.
Yeah, I've hung out with Charlie. I talked to him a few times. He's a great guy. It's amazing what he's doing at Turning Point USA.
Fucking smart dude, huh?
Very smart dude.
Yeah.
Very intelligent.
And I want him to change his haircut, but he's a smart dude. Oh. That pompadour he wears is hilarious. Is he still rocking that? It was like straight up in the air when I saw it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, is it still? It still looks like a peacock.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, you were just with him this weekend, right?
Yeah, but I don't really pay attention to people's hair. Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, am I wrong? Is he still rocking that Elvis pompadour?
Yeah, he's got it cut down a little bit.
Does he? He's knocked it down a peg or two. That thing was hilarious. I saw it a few months ago. I was like, Charlie, Jesus, it's 6 inches taller than your head.
He's got a business cut today.
Okay, nice. All right. So, do you where do you? I mean, you don't need to tell me where.
State of Texas.
You're living in Texas. You're living in the free nation of Texas right now.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows I live in Texas. I'd love to live in Florida, but you have to be 21 to purchase a rifle in Florida.
And you're like, fuck that.
I mean, I know. DeSantis would pass these laws, 18 to 20-year-old carry, but they just need to be introduced to him.
Do you tell me a little bit about how it affected you? A lot of veterans are dishonest about how shooting people affects them.
Oh, it sucks. I mean, I have constant nightmares.
Tell us a little bit.
Like, it's something I constantly relive. Like I'll stare off into space. Like, I'll wake up with nightmares. There'll be nights where I get like 0 to no sleep, or I'll wake up in a cold sweat. Like, you think about it a lot, and it really affects you, and it affects your relationships. People don't realize how much it affects your relationships, because there will be people in my life who are no longer in my life, because they'll come up to me and they'll be former friends. They'll be like, "You're so different now." And I'm like, I mean, I had a life-changing event. I don't know what you're supposed to, like,
Yeah.
Like I don't
You
know
want to go
what
do
I'm supposed to say.
Dungeons and fucking Dragons? What are you talking about? Yeah, I know. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're just like, I lost a lot of friends because they just think I'm like completely different now because of how it affected me.
Tell me a little how it's affected you. Short temper, personality, or what?
No, not really short temper. Just like I don't really want to go out and do things as much.
Yeah.
Like I have a bigger perception, like a better perception. I don't want to go out and like go partying with a bunch of like 18, 19-year-old people. I kind of want to just stay at home. I don't want to go drive around.
So a little more of a homebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to go and do like I want to go out and do things, but I don't want to go out and do like dumb shit.
You know, it sounds to me, and I'm not like an armchair psychologist, but it sounds like a really classic pattern of PTSD. Do you know how many veterans, like when we get back from abroad, don't want to go anywhere? We don't want to go socialize. We don't like groups of people. We don't like strangers around us.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
all of that stuff that you're saying.
my biggest thing I'm working at getting over. I get so drained at conferences because I hate being in crowds.
Yeah.
I can barely stand. I love being around supporters, but I hate being surrounded because it's just like it's like
Is it the vulnerability?
it's just like anything can happen to anything.
Yeah.
Like I was vulnerable when I got attacked. Like this is how I was attacked. Like it's like a reminder that anything can happen, and like I don't know who some of these people are. I don't know if they're out to get me, and I just feel uncomfortable and I start sweating and I get nervous.
So let me ask you, do you feel any responsibility for having put yourself in the crosshairs a little bit? I mean, honest question, and I'm not poking at you, okay? I mean, as your dad, I would have said, don't goddamn go down there. Let those fucking crazy people take care of themselves. Don't go do that. They got insurance. We can get their building repainted afterwards. Don't go down there. If I was your dad, I would have said that.
Yeah.
Okay? And maybe your parents did say it. I don't know. No, goddamn it, don't take an M4 down there. There's going to be nothing but trouble out of that. Is there a part of you that scratches around inside and says, geez, man, I wish I should have just...
I mean, I wish I would never have had to take somebody's life, two people's lives, and shoot a third.
Yeah.
But I did what I had to do to save my life.
Would you put yourself in that whole scenario again?
You know, because of the civil lawsuit, I'm not really going to comment on that because
cool.
they're going to like...
That's cool. They'll use it
gonna,
against you.
Use that against me.
That's fine. Yeah, you know, I've heard guys, you know, that got to do a bunch of gunslinging say, you know, I would have never joined the military if I'd have known what I was going to get put through. I've had guys honestly say that to me, and I go, oh, that's how much therapy did that cost? And they're like, oh, yeah, that was a little bit of therapy. All right, have you talked to anybody about it?
You know, I talked to some therapists. I have therapists right now. They just don't understand.
No,
if that makes sense.
Of course not.
I want to try this new thing. It's like laser eye. I forget what it's called.
Are you talking about EMDR?
Yeah, I want to try that. I want to see how that works for me. I just got to find a place that I trust and they'll do it.
I know a place.
Perfect. I'll check them out.
Actually, know two.
Two? Perfect.
Yeah, really, really good people.
Perfect.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll talk a little bit when we're off the show. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I want to try that. And
I'm stunned you're not getting more people jumping in to help you. I mean, this has been a while. You've been out in the wilds. How long ago was all this? About a year ago, right?
August 25th of 2020 was my shooting.
When was the trial?
I was acquitted last year on November 19th.
Okay, so it's been a year since, you know, it really was topping news, and a year and a half since you got jammed up pretty badly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is your girl going to school? Is she what's she doing?
She's going to school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. What's she want to do?
Communications and journalism, I believe. I think she may change it. I'm not sure. We all change it a couple times.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Figuring things out as you go.
But as long as she doesn't go to liberal media, I'm happy.
Have you has any of the news agencies or has Fox News talked to you about contributing for them at some level, or are you kind of stuck until the litigation stuff's over?
No, I haven't really had any offers to like contribute at like Fox News. I would love to sit down and have that conversation with anybody who would love to have me contribute with them.
Yeah.
It's definitely a career path I'm interested in. And yeah, hopefully one day I can have those conversations.
You know, there's probably, I mean, you're just a fucking young dude. I've got boots older than you. So you probably, like, you have this unique thing. And if you don't spoil it, and you haven't so far, if you don't spoil it and you can kind of gather around yourself strong education about it, and there's there's a thing that happens if you do the university thing and you get a good degree and you communicate better, you communicate more wisely, you communicate more intelligently, and a broader audience hears you better. And that's probably going to be a big part of this next little era in your life.
Yeah, education
getting
is
you ready for
definitely
what comes
important.
afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah. And education is priority, and I think that'll help with my future and it'll benefit me
Sure.
dramatically.
Sure. Okay. And how do you find the people out here in Arizona?
You know, the people out here are great. You know, there was just a Lakers game yesterday, so I was like, you know, I'm probably going to stay in my hotel room for the night because they played the Suns, and you know, I didn't go out, but majority of that people are great. A lot of turning point people out here, a lot of just blue collar conservatives that just want to do the right thing and just contribute to society.
I'll tell you the one thing I noticed talking to some people is your typical Democrat hates your fucking guts. And I want to grab them by the goddamn neck and pinch their head off. And, you know, violence isn't going to solve anything. And I'm not advocating violence often. But I'm like, how can anybody be that hostile and that ill-informed and be so goddamn hostile and ill-informed at the same time? It's unbelievable. And you got to deal with that, like, forever.
You know, leftists like to incite violence. They like to kill our babies. They like to start protests, start riots. They like to lie, and they like to say they're going to do one thing, and then they go and do the other thing, and they say what they did was, oh, no, we actually meant to do that. That was good for us, and people believe them, and it's bullshit.
Tell me about your parents. Where are they at?
Mom lives in Florida. I don't really talk to my dad. He lives in Wisconsin, Kenosha.
Okay.
Our relationship kind of fell out.
After this or before?
Before that, I would hang out with him occasionally, but yeah, just not really part of my life.
Do you mind kind of walking through kind of what was going on in your head today, what you were doing? Can we hear it right from the horse's mouth?
In Kenosha?
Yeah.
You know, I was down there. I was cleaning graffiti off the wall. I was just cleaning up after the first nights of riots.
It sounds like a Boy Scout thing to do.
Yeah, just helping out. And I went to this car store.
Were you in Scouts at all?
I was a Boy Scout for about 6 months, and when I was younger, and then I was a police explorer, which was sponsored by the Boy Scouts of America.
Okay, I'm familiar. All right, so you were kind of into civic service kind of stuff as a kid, as a kind of like a hobby.
Yeah, and then I was cleaning graffiti, and then I went to the car. Me and Dominic Black, who was with me that night, who's my sister's ex-boyfriend. We were walking around looking at the damage, and we met the owners of the car stores, and we're talking to them. We offered to help, and then they said they would let us know. And then later that night, Nick Smith called and said, hey, can you come help us protect this business? The owners asked Nick to have us come help protect that business. So we did. I brought my first aid kit because I was a lifeguard and a firefighter EMT cadet as well. So I had some basic first aid stuff. I knew like the fundamentals of like
breathing, bleeding, shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I went there, brought that, helped countless people. I was pepper sprayed that night. I was tear gassed, and I continued helping people both on like anybody. I was helping Antifa. I didn't know what Antifa was then. I wasn't a political person back then. I didn't know like all these bad actors. I just wanted to be a good person and help. And then I got a call that there was a fire at car source slot number 3 where my shooting happened. There was 3 car sources, by the way, and we just called them car source 1, 2, and 3 throughout the trial.
And car source is basically the name of a chain of car dealerships locally there.
That is correct.
Okay.
And then I went down there with a fire extinguisher I was running. I got to this Duramax. It was on fire. Joshua Zeminski.
So diesel pickups burning. You
Yep.
show up with a fire extinguisher to put the fire out.
Yep. I don't end up putting out the fire. Joshua Zeminski, this guy is currently facing a bunch of charges. He's in jail right now.
Is this the guy that got
Fired the shot. Fired the first shot.
He fired the first shot.
Yep.
Okay.
So he takes a step towards me with a Glock pistol in his hand, and then Joseph Rosenbaum comes out.
And that's the guy you blasted in the bicep, right?
No.
Oh, he's dead.
There's a lot to it. And then
Okay, I'm sorry.
he starts chasing me. I'm running away. I turn around and I point my fire at him. He briefly stops. I turn around and he keeps running at me. I'm cornered in between 2 cars and then about 3 cars behind me with about 150 people behind me, nowhere to go. I'm being shot at in front of me, and there's a guy to my left who shoots at me after my shooting. So Mr. Rosenbaum lunges at me, grabs my gun with both of his hands on my firearm, and I shoot him out of self-defense. I run around the vehicle. He's getting help rendered to him by Richard McGinnis, a journalist. And then a mob starts forming and chasing me down as I'm running down Sheridan Road to the police line to get to law enforcement to let them know what happened. I'm struck with a skateboard. I keep running. And then I'm struck with a rock, and then I stumble to the ground. And then I'm immediately kicked to the face, and I fire 2 shots, missing that person. And then Mr. Huber, who's suing me in civil court right now, puts his knees in my chest, grabs my gun, pulls my gun, and swings a skateboard at my head for the second time. He hit me 1 time already. This is the second time. And then I fire 1 shot, and then Mr. Grosskreutz, the man with the pistol, points his pistol at me, and I shoot him, hitting him in the bicep. And then I get up, and then I get to the police line, and then they tell me to go home. They pepper spray me. I go home.
Who pepper sprayed you?
The police.
Okay.
I told them I shot somebody, and they were like, go home, go home, go home. Pepper sprayed me. I said, okay. I went home, turned myself into the Antioch Police Department, where I was arrested and held in jail for 87 days.
So the guy that you shot in the bicep, who's not dead, he was pointing a firearm at you, right?
He had a pistol pointed directly at my head.
Okay. And you were on the ground at that point, right?
That is correct.
It's been a while since I watched I watched parts of the trial, and it's kind of wrap up, But he was the guy who was crying about how you devastated his bicep, and he's got a bicep problem the rest of his life now, right?
Yes.
But he was pointing a loaded firearm at you.
Yes, there was one in the pipe.
It's hilarious. I mean, I know it's not hilarious, but from the outside, we're like, how the fuck is this even a conversation when a guy points a loaded gun at you and you shoot him? And not even lethally.
He denied it for the longest time that he ever pointed that gun at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I saw when it broke right during the trial. We were like,
he finally admitted it during my trial.
Like right during the trial. I mean, it was a Perry Mason. Like, holy shit, did he just say that moment? Like, were you like?
I was like, wow, this dude, I whispered over to
just happened right here.
Like, did you just hear the same thing I heard? And then he was like, yeah. And I'm like, he just admitted to pointing a gun at me.
Right, like on national television.
I'm like, there we go. Like, at least he was honest.
There was a goddamn gasp collectively across the country because we were all watching it.
I mean, you could feel the air get sucked out of the country because everybody took a breath at the same time.
And they go, oh no, there's going to be this decision may go weird and shit could get funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go weird for us meant go the right way,
Absolutely.
Just crazy. It's been a strange few years, after the George Floyd thing happened. I was scratching my head just as an observer from the outside because I'm like, man, if cops are out of line, fucking throw them in jail if they're out of line. Like,
Absolutely.
There's a process for that,
Due process. Everybody deserves their
Yeah,
day in court.
everybody. And I was watching that thing, and I said, this is the best that was Missouri, right?
Minnesota.
Is that Minnesota?
Yep.
With
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
It was Minneapolis
With Mr. Floyd and Mr. Chauvin.
I was scratching my head going, this is the best case of an innocent person getting injured by. This is the best police violence you have. I mean, as the facts have come down over the last couple of years, it's not at all what anybody said it was in the news. It's completely opposite. It's bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole country lost its mind. And then all of a sudden, it was like war on cops. And it was a couple summers of madness. It was crazy.
Absolutely. Like, I don't agree 100% with what Derek Chauvin did. I think 8 minutes.
You're talking about the cops?
Yes.
Yeah, nor do I.
Like, I think there's a lot of things I don't know about it, but I don't agree with that whole 8 minutes. I don't know how he passed away, if it was from fentanyl or from aspiration. I don't know.
Right.
But how they use that one case to target every single police officer in America is ridiculous.
Yeah,
how
crazy.
they burn down cities, ridiculous. I find it really disturbing that police officers were getting attacked, murdered because of one bad cop. And I am as pro blue as they get. And I believe in accountability, and I don't believe anybody deserves special treatment. But what happened after that?
opportunists again.
Opportunists.
Hijacked an incident and turned it into a thing. Have you been back to where all this happened since?
You know, I've been to Kenosha once or twice after the shooting, and you know, I don't really have any intentions of going back. I don't really have a need to be there.
Is the place a mess?
You know,
or is it pretty recovered?
I don't know. Last time I went there, it was okay. Just like they were rebuilding, but there was millions of dollars in property damage.
Well, interesting. So your mom is down in Florida.
Yep.
You want to move to Florida, but you got a little 2A bone to pick with them till you're 21. It's not on your radar.
You know, I want them to pass constitutional carry. I want them to, like, you know, 18 to 20 pistol and rifle. And there's a lot, but right now Texas is one of the states I like right now because they have pretty good gun laws. Although the DPS is suing because 18 to 20 was just passed by a judge. They ruled that it was unconstitutional to prohibit 18 to 20-year-olds from carrying firearms in the state of Texas per the Constitution, which is absolutely correct. And then this DPS, the head of DPS is suing, saying no, appealing, no, like, we're not going to do this. And I'm really disturbed because there's quite a few colleges in Texas. We have Texas A&M and a bunch of others. Look at the young college women that are getting beat, raped, and murdered on a daily basis, 18 to 20, and they don't have the means to defend themselves. Look at the school shootings. Look at Uvalde, for instance. The police took forever to respond in. It's tragedy what happened. If we would have had teachers who had guns there, if we would have young students, 18 to 20-year-olds, senior high school students who had firearms, school shootings would go down, and they would be able to stop the person who is bringing harm to our children and our loved ones.
It sounds like be interesting to see where you kind of end up, on what path you end up. It'll be interesting to see if you end up working with or for or at the front of one of the big firearms lobbies in this country. Or what do you think about the laws here in Arizona? Are you pretty familiar?
I know they have constitutional carry here.
Yeah.
I like their gun laws. I don't know much about them. I want to do some research.
We're gun crazy here.
I know.
Like, we're gun crazy.
I heard you guys used to be like California with your guns. Like a couple years ago, right before constitutional carry got passed, it was like damn near impossible to get a CCW permit.
No, that's not
really.
No,
that's not true. I heard that from somebody.
Oh my God, no. This state, you've been born, and they basically, before you can walk,
strap a rifle to your chest before you're born.
They stick a 357 in your hand, and if you keep it, you turn into a Democrat, and if you turn it in for a 1911, you're going to be a Republican.
You ever shoot a 500 BFG?
No.
It's a hand cannon, and I got to shoot one for the first time with my girlfriend's dad a couple weeks ago. I don't think I'll ever shoot a 500 BFG again.
Bobby, what's a 500 BFG?
That's the Western thing.
500 big fucking.
Is it a does it go in a revolver?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, perfect.
I'll show you a video.
You're going to show me a video, okay.
It'll wreck your hand.
No. That's no good for me. I mean, I had my custom 1911s are all 9mm. I'm a 9mm guy. I like 9mm, and I like 223. Well, it's going to be interesting. I look forward to hearing from you. Actually, I know you don't know me from Adam, but I actually hope you keep in touch, and I'd love to hear.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear what's going on with you. I used to be in the martial arts business, so for about 30 years. So I have talked to so many young people kind of transitioning into their adulthood. A lot of them go off, became fighter pilots. A lot of them went in the military. A lot of doctors and attorneys, and it's fun now. All these young people that I kind of talked to over the years with all these really cool careers. You got a kind of interesting thing that you can either do nothing with or you can do something huge with. I guess
Absolutely.
that's the paradox for you, right?
I want to do huge things. I want to do big things. I want to be a voice. I want to be an activist because you know what? Who gave this to me? The left did. They gave me my voice, and they're trying so hard to silence me. But guess what? It's not going to happen. I'm going to be loud. I'm gonna say what I want to say, and nobody's going to shut me up.
What's the thing that surprised you the most in the last few years?
Censorship. The censorship we face, especially with what we're revealing with the Twitter files. I had no idea how censored conservatives are.
Was your team being censored at all during your thing at all?
Yeah, I was deplatformed off of several different crowdfunding sources. I was shadow banned on social media. Like, it was so hard to get followers, and Instagram, I'm pretty sure I'm still shadow banned because I don't move in followers there. I stay at the same number. I actually drop and then gain and then drop and then gain.
I had the same thing happen. I got up to 15,000 and I couldn't get one above it.
Yeah, I'm at like 250K
Yeah, you
on
get a different
Instagram,
audience.
but every time I get like 251 or 200, like I can't get past 260K.
Interesting. You know, there's only two possibilities, right? Either you've reached the market penetration engagement level for your level of.
But I'm pretty close to 1 million on Twitter. So,
That's pretty funny. So, are you posting on Twitter now?
yeah, I post quite a bit on Twitter, not as much on Instagram. I like free speech, and Elon Musk, I think he's doing great things with that.
Yeah, yeah. You got any heroes that have been on your list since you were a young person? What got you doing all this civic stuff?
You know, just law enforcement, seeing like law enforcement help people, firefighters, first responders, people that are like sacrificing their lives for others and doing selfless things, and just all around like good people. Those are my heroes. People that are willing to help other people's, like people that are willing to, like, they see a friend in need, they know that friend legitimately needs help, and they just don't say, "Oh, that sucks." They go out there and they help them.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I heard so many collegiate types. You know, are you familiar with Thomas Sowell, black economist? He's kind of a legend. He's one of my favorite economists ever. Him and Milton Friedman, maybe. Thomas Sowell's got this. He divides the country into the hillbilly culture and the white collar or collegiate culture, and he says that basically the country owes this huge debt to the hillbilly culture because we all joined the military. We're all cops. We're all firemen. We all kind of serve and kind of into our community. And the other group goes off to school and gets finance degrees and makes all kind of crazy money and skips out on that service part. But the collegiate crowd, while they're all trying to get into their favorite schools, they go to do volunteer work. And you were doing volunteer work.
I have hundreds of hours of volunteer, even before the Kenosha incident. Hundreds. I would volunteer at Shop with a Cop. I would volunteer at these other organizations, like not with the Police Explorers, like these parades, these doing traffic, doing soup kitchens.
Just helping out.
You know, every year for Christmas time and Thanksgiving, as a fire cadet, we would do these food drives. We would pack up these boxes and we load them in the car and we'd give them to people in need. And that was one of the things we did.
You know, on the coasts, I've heard the California folks make fun of you for doing that kind of stuff. I know you've heard that too.
Yeah, because they don't want to get out there and do anything. They want to sit around and collect from the government and, you know, do nothing with their lives. And
I heard talk show hosts like really bagging on it. And I'm cracking up because I'm sitting here going, you know, I see a young guy, you know, you got a baby face.
I look 12. Yeah, let's be honest.
You got a baby face and I think you got a good heart. And I saw you doing this volunteer work and everybody... all of this group judged you so hard. They all signed up trying to figure out what volunteer work to do to get into what college they wanted to get into, and it was their reason for it. And you've just been out doing it, and lots of it. So, kind of hats off to you for that.
I really want to dig into a lot of these people's past, like all these people out in California, all these like politicians that are saying all these bad things. I want to know what skeletons you're hiding, and you know what? Truth always comes to light.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about where you're at. Like, you've got civil stuff going on right now. Okay, can you give us a little lay of the land? That's all, like, reasonably open knowledge, right?
Yeah, I'm being sued in the Eastern District of Wisconsin by the family of Anthony Huber.
And was he the guy with the pistol that you shot in the bicep? Which guy is he?
He was the guy that attacked me with the skateboard.
Okay. I remember when that went down, I remember I was talking to a couple of women, and they were saying, you know, he just shot a guy with a skateboard. I'm like... I could chop your head off with my kid's skateboard. Like, standing a grown man with a skateboard above with it. I mean,
I have a dent to the back of my head.
I think people don't realize it's a hunk of wood with two hunks of metal, you know, almost like caltrops on them. I mean, you could kill somebody with a skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a brain injury. Like, I have constant migraines because of it. I have a dent in the back of my head. I see spots constantly. I don't know if some people with brain injuries have that. I see purple and blue like flashing. It is a deadly weapon.
So, and he's deceased,
He did pass away.
and his family is coming after you now
Yes.
because he had a big earning potential with that lifestyle he'd chosen so far already. So, they're coming after you, and what's the status on that? Can you give us a little heads up?
We're still trying to raise money for it. It's an expensive lawsuit. Almost all the money's going towards that. I have an outstanding bill with them, so we have a couple of adjournments till in the new year to get a new motion filed that we're filing. But right now I'm working on raising money through a Give, Send, Go that people can go and donate.
What's Give, Send, Go?
It's the conservative crowdfunding for conservatives.
All right, so they won't shut you off. Right.
GoFundMe shut me down. Give, Send, Go. They have been extremely supportive, and they've helped me.
So if somebody wants to go to Give, Send, Go to help you out, and I recommend they do, we're going to do something cool for you, I hope, here at the factory. How do they do that? Is it givesendgo.com or what is it?
They can go to www.givesendgo.com/Kyle Rittenhouse.
All right. And so they can just go there, and there's a little search window. They can do a little search window for your name, and your thing will pop up, right?
We have the whole lawsuit listed there. We have the amended complaint that they filed against me. Some great friends of mine helped set that up for me.
Okay. All right. And nobody from the NRA or any of the 2A groups have stepped in to help with defense?
National Association for Gun Rights and Gun Owners of America have been really helpful. They're helping bring some money in for the defense. I know I'm working with them. I was just at NEGR ranges. I did some videos with them, and I had a blast. They're just great people all around. Same with the Gun Owners of America. They're doing some great things, advocating for some great politicians and getting some great officials elected.
Well, I hope you find a way to parlay some of your name and gravitas into some help dealing with the frivolous mess that's coming behind all of this. So do you have anything else besides that one? What was that fellow's name? What's the family that's suing you? What's their name?
The family of Anthony Huber.
Okay.
John Huber is suing me in the Eastern District of Wisconsin with about 20 other police departments.
Okay.
And the amended complaint.
Who's funding him? He's got to come up with all the money, right?
It's this well-funded Democratic National Committee law firm out of Chicago he has like 10 lawyers listed, and it's ridiculous. They're extremely well-funded.
So it's basically the Democrat machine, especially in Illinois, is kind of behind this.
Yeah, coming after me, and it's ridiculous because they have all this money. What they're trying to do is they're trying to drain me into a financial burden to where I can no longer afford to defend this lawsuit, and then they're going to use this as an example, saying you cannot defend yourself without being sued.
Because it'll destroy you. It will destroy you.
It is so important. This is almost as important as the criminal trial. They will financially cripple you if this goes to trial, and if they win, it will financially destroy.
Is anyone else suing you?
I'm not currently being sued by anybody else at the moment. I'm actually hoping to file lawsuits in the next couple months. It got postponed because of this lawsuit. This kind of took priority.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to go after what was the kid's name? Sam something or another that had that CNN said he was doing a bunch of racist stuff against a Native American. It turned out to not be true.
Todd McMurtry is actually Nick Sandman's attorney, and he actually represents me in my civil matters for my lawsuits I'm going to file.
Okay.
I'm planning on going after Whoopi Goldberg, Facebook, MSNBC, and some of these big tech platforms that really hurt me and really prohibited me from defending myself in the court of law, and that made it almost damn near impossible.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the very best of luck. You got anything you want to talk about or let us know about or let people know about here in Arizona that might be listening?
I just want to thank you for having me out here at your headquarters. Beautiful place here, awesome machinery, and just a bunch of great people here.
Well, I got to tell you, I think you're a class act. As I watched how you conducted yourself during your trial and right afterwards, and on a couple of podcasts that I watch, I'm not a big watcher, but I said, man, that young man, he's conducted himself really well, and I think it's really important to get somebody to help mentor you over the next two steps, because you really do have two options, right? One is to just go off and live your life and kind of disappear back into obscurity like the rest of us, or parlay that into something bigger. But to do that the right way is a is also requires a deft hand, I suppose, right? And absolutely wish you the very best. We were all just rooting for you. It wasn't based on racism. It wasn't based on Schadenfreude. It was us looking at kind of what happened. Just, the eyes tell a lot.
The
And you
evidence and
watch
right
the video
things.
and you go, you got to be kidding me. How is this in trial? How is this kid in jail? And it's amazing how much you're in the wind when something like this happens. Like, the machine is really big. It's bigger than any one of us. So unless you're independently wealthy, which is almost nobody, it's a big machine to deal with. And you did it with a bunch of grace that you don't see from a lot of people.
Absolutely. The machine is the most powerful entity. The media is the most powerful entity on the planet.
It's bananas. Do you have anybody you trust in the media?
I really learned not to trust many people in the media, but, Tucker Carlson, John Hannity, there's a few like Sebastian Gorka, Charlie Kirk, Sarah Gonzalez. Those are the few people I trust. There's a handful. I'm sorry I don't get to list their names, but
it's a short list.
It's a short list, but they have become really close friends and really close people I trust and that I'd go and have dinner with and hang out with.
Good. Well, next time you're in Arizona, I hope you come by again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Pleasure having you here.
Perfect.
All right, sports fans, that's the show. Just a little bit of, I didn't want to get into all the nuts and bolts because there's plenty of places you can go see all the nuts and bolts of this and review all that. And plus, I don't want to re-traumatize somebody going over one of the most traumatic things that's ever happened to them. But I thought it would be fun to have him come in and talk and just get a chance to see where he's at right now and get a chance to see where his head is. Almost 2 years, almost a year and a half after all this went down. Seems pretty clear-headed and doesn't seem too crazy to me. So I'm tickled. I'm tickled he came in. I hope you guys reach out. We're gonna see if we can do something cool for him, and if so, we'll announce that to you guys, and we'll put a video out so you guys kind of know we're doing it. And you'll see it on our website if we can kind of come to some terms that don't jam him up with all his legal machinations he's got going on. So that's our show here from Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks for coming to the Greg Medford Show. You can check us out if you're seeing a little snippet of this on YouTube. Jump over to iTunes, Spotify, or Rumble. You can see us there. Just do a search for the Greg Medford Show. If you want to find out about our knives, go to medfordknife.com or go to askknife.com. You can find out about our knife company and the knife companies and things we make. It's kind of cool. All American made. That's the show. We're out.